Quest Audiobooks presents an unabridged recording of the 100 series, The Rending by Vanessa Nelson, narrated by Deborah Balm. Chapter 1. Lothar lifted his head, ears flicking forward, catching a sound that Yvonne's human ears were too blunt to hear. His head stayed up, ears pricked, as he walked across a small rounded bridge that carried the narrow road towards the house. A moment later, Yvonne saw and heard what had caught her horse's attention. A group of wolfkin, perhaps 10 or more, were running riot in the large garden around the house. There were a few snarls, a growl or two, and some eyes gleaming with power, sending a shiver across her skin. Old fear that was always a breath away around wolfkin. She drew Lothar to a halt, waiting for the unease to pass. She did not want to dwell on those old memories. Not today. And there was no threat here. The wolfkin were the younger members of the local range, together with her children, Mariah and Joel, and they were playing. All of them. A complicated game of tag and chase that no outsider would understand. Amid the growls, there was laughter, teeth bared in smiles, and the gleam in the wolfkin's eyes also carried mischief. Settled back into calm, Yvonne patted Lothar's neck and they moved forward, through the open gate and down the packed dirt track that led around the front of the house to the outbuildings and stables. Lothar's ears swept forward again, head lifting, for another reason entirely. Her old horse always knew where his stable was and had hopes of being fed soon. The rest of the horses were standing along the fence line of their field, watching the wolfkin playing, seemingly curious, unworried. None of the wolfkin here were a threat to them. The horses were used to being around the master predators. The outbuildings might be old, and the roof might sag in places, but they were spotless, thanks to her children and the older wolf stepping out of the storeroom that they used for harnesses and feed. Renard, the autumn sun catching the grey of his hair, lifted a hand in greeting and came towards her, unhurried and easy in his movements. He had seen her when she was a terrified youngster, screaming in fear at the mere sight of him. Years later, she lifted a hand in return and smiled, welcoming an old friend, then slid off her horse. "You've worn him out," he commented, smiling as he took Lothar's reins. She laughed, shaking her head and patting the horse's neck again. "Not me. The stable hands at the tavern complain—"
Sample complete. Ready to continue?